Hello, everyone, and welcome to the ratings show here on the Blue Abroad YouTube channel, proudly brought to you by Horizon Finance Group. We are sitting here only less than 24 hours after our big win against the Richmond Football Club. It's going to be Monday mayhem tonight. It's the ratings into the BA show, into the Almost Blues Brothers, and this is the beginning of the marathon. Got Pommy with me as always, mate. What's going on?
What's going down? I'm all right. I can't complain. How are you,
Mate? Good. Usually we get you like at least 48 hours to get everything together for this show, so I don't really want to imagine what today's been like for you, but we love it.
You don't fucking want to know. Started at 1 a.m, a nice 45-minute drive to my mate's house to watch the mighty England. Then got kicked out of his house because he'd had a bit too much to drink. And when Bellingham scored that overhead back kick, he fell over the couch and headbutted his beautiful wife's cabinet that had all of her family heirlooms in and probably about $8,000 worth of damage. And she had work at 6 a.m, so she screamed, and we ended up having to watch the game on my phone in my mate's car while we could hear her go mental. And then, came home, had a couple of hours kip. Draft content was filmed. This was done. Review was done. Yeah, to be honest, I am on about 0.2. I'm a little bit... I've got the energy levels of Richmond had in the fourth.
Just falling in the arse.
I'm ready to be put away.
Yeah. All right. Well, we'll put you away. Those of you in the chat, thanks for being here. This is a fan favorite on the channel. We're basically going to be going through every single player that played for Carlton. We are going to have a look at how they performed. We're going to look at their role. We're going to go in depth, not just surface level stats. We're going to go in depth with what they did. And you'll have some opportunities to guess their scores because we know you love doing that. And we'll just enjoy it. I think that's what we're going to do. You know, now is the good time. It's time to enjoy it.
Yeah, I mean, we are the equivalent of the hot tour girl for stats.
Oh, you got to give him that hot tour. Spit on that thing.
Yeah, Joey. I think the best bit of that video is when she says, "I love you, Pookie."
Yeah. But have you seen
I thought that was really cute.
Have you seen the full version?
I have, yes, indeed.
So Pookie's not like her boyfriend. It's just like her most recent body.
Yeah, it's bizarre, isn't it? But I mean, Pookie, it's good. It's a good nickname, isn't it, for a pet name? I'm into pet. Is anyone in chat? You know, I like to ramble when I'm in a good mood. Has anyone got a pet name for their partner or a name that they get called?
I don't have a partner to give a pet name to.
Oh, I feel bad now. Just wondered. Do you know what I mean? Yeah, do you know what I mean? I've never done it. Like, I've got a little hack, right? And that's Zoe's always been Babe, and the reason is it's a good habit to get into because it's why I use mate, bro, love, sunshine all the time. Because the great trick is if you ever say the name wrong, you never get it wrong.
That's true.
So like, I can never call Zoe my ex because everyone's been Babe. Like, it's an absolute fucking hack, that from Uncle Pom. Tell you. Hacks.
Chestnut checkers, mate. Hey, Murray, I did get your order. You did order the pin. I've already put it in the envelope. It is ready to be posted.
McChain dog.
The McChain dog. Lots of you here. Hey, if you are a regular here on the rating show, send the link to a friend. Bring him in. Get him involved. We'd love to meet more people, and we'd love to showcase this show to more people. The more people that watch this show, the bigger it becomes, and the bigger it becomes, the better we become. So that's that. Jordan Boyd 1 week. Let's get the Jordan Boyd when we get there. It's the first time seeing it, but we're going to get cracking because we do have a massive night ahead of us. Pommy, you ready?
Born ready, mate.
Born ready.
Literally
Let's
born.
begin.
Came out of the womb doing this.
Lockie Cowan, this kid, it doesn't stop. He doesn't stop.
It's beginning to get a little bit boring. Dare I say it? Cal's falling into the Newman category at the moment. But very interesting here. Richmond came into this with a game plan. The game plan was really easy. I'm not going to bore you with it because you've probably seen it on every review. I'd hope you saw it on the previews. But they had to go along and try and create outnumbers, and that was their plan. He was supreme in defence. But really interesting here that they like to bring it to ground and run it through. And his defensive half pressure acts were really good as well. That area was heavy targeted. So I really want you to keep a focus this week on the left-hand side defensively this week, because we're going to talk at length on why that was so important. But the 303 metres gained, as you can see by his pomegranate, strong defensively, strong offensively. He's literally becoming quite the player. And you know what? We talked about it in the draft. This is draft Cowan. Cowan doing it in the AFL.
What is his ceiling? Is there, I mean, I hate the comparisons, but just to help me visualize, like, is he like a Tom Stewart-esque type of...
Tom Stewart, spot on, nailed it.
Yeah.
I think some of you forced me to give you comparisons in my draft videos, and we did it. I think Tom Stewart was the one we thought that's where he potentially could be. Definitely, he's got that versatility and that ability. He's a 30-touch player. He is a 30-touch player. But, I mean, I would say he's better defensively already than Tom Stewart ever has been.
Wow. Mate, I feel like I've been rambling about him the last couple of weeks. I'm trying to look at the moment when he really grabbed my attention. I think it was Essendon. I'm pretty sure it was Essendon. I mean, he played well against the Gold Coast Suns, but I think it was the Essendon game. It's just his lack of fear is so outstanding to me for his age, and I can't stop thinking about it. And used the word generational yesterday, and I know that's just like an awful word to use because everyone uses it, but I really think he's something super special.
Sometimes you've got to look at things that people don't look at when you're analysing players. And one thing that Cowan's got, which he had at juniors, which we're seeing it heavily now in AFL, is when he spoils or when he loses the marking contest and it goes to ground, he's invariably the first there. He's mopping up his work. And that is a huge, huge asset if you want to be a good player. If you want to be a good, great player, something they've all got in common. And that's something you watch him. A couple of them mark contests, he was on Bolter at one stage. He spoiled it, an absolute shithouse spoil. It's just like kind of gone in the air and dropped. First there, though. First at the scene. That's incredibly hard to do. And it's good game awareness. And it's something we criticised Lewis Young for a couple of weeks ago when he was in the team, when he spoiled it and kind of just watched it. Having that as a second nature to you, of making sure you won the contest, huge. Because you can't teach that. That's inherent. So, going to be a very good player is old Cal.
I remember last week, a lot of the defenders, we saw them have higher score involvements than usual. Cal had 4. I'm going to just take a mental note about these other defenders as we get there. He scores an 8 for the game, and he just continues on with this upward trajectory that we love to see. Now we get to Mr. Weitering, the Blazer. I think we really need to dial in on the Jacob Weitering All-Australian campaign as a fan base, and we need to do something about it. We'll get to that in a minute, but let's talk about his game.
Terry's leading rebellions here.
Yeah, no, I'm on. Yeah, I've turned the page. Enough's enough. It's time to change.
So I want you to really take notice of the 5 touches he had left wing. It's gonna be very important. It's gonna be very important. So keep bearing in mind. But what is really impressive about Jacob Weitering in the recent weeks is that the work he's done with McGovern. So probably the best backline we've ever seen was the finals just before Brisbane, and that makeup, which you'll remember was Mitch had Marchbank in it. And the reason that was so good was their ability to play. There's 2 forms of zonal systems, right? And the top teams play what's called a loose zonal system. And that's kind of where people are just scattered. It's kind of organised chaos. And you've seen that this week, Voss has pressed the button on that twice in game. And this change here with Weitering and McGovern, with McGovern becoming the march bank of being stay at home, allowing everyone else to work around it. And Weitering goes to the hot spots. So we're going to talk about it at length when we come to Richmond as well, but this is impressive. These spoils, 5 of them were on the wing, bringing it to ground where they were starting to get a little bit of ascendancy in the first half and causing chaos and allowing Carlton to slingshot from like defensive midfield as opposed to rebound 50s. And you can see here, one-on-one percentage didn't get beaten. And this is a big part of Weitering's game where this separates the Sam Taylors, the Harris Andrews from Weitering. His ability to hit targets all the time. Under pressure, under duress, when the shit is down, Weitering hits targets. And that's genuinely the common methodology to beat fullbacks in this league. Put pressure on that kick. Put pressure. You saw Calton do it to great success against Richmond. Hurry it up, and then you'll get that dump kick where you can turn it over. Weitering buys himself time. Great performance by him. Great performance. But becoming a victim of his own success.
How so?
I think you expect it. So, Darcy Moore, All-Australian last year.
Yep.
I don't think Darcy Moore's ever been... He's never had the Weitering of consistency. He was a forward, moved back to the back, then went back forward, then went back. So he's kind of a happy story, isn't it, Moore? Failure as a forward to captain of a Premiership side. Where Weitering, when he's come in, just always has been bog standard 7 out of 10 on his worst days. You can count on one hand these shit games. Do you know what I mean? So I feel like sometimes a player like Nick Newman and Weitering can become a victim of being so boringly good.
Yeah.
So they kind of don't get talked about.
Yeah. Well, that's where we're going to come into play. No, I recently did a little reel on the best and fairest winners, and I was reminded that he has been in the squad 4 seasons in a row without having a blazer. So we've got to think of something that we can do. I think I might just be creating a few more Jacob Weitering videos just to get his name out there a bit. Interestingly, with him, 5 score involvements. So again, it's only 2 players so far, but we're seeing a continuation from last week with our defenders being a part of the scoring chains.
Well, I mean, when you score 90 plus points on turnover, you expect some backmen to be in there.
That's true. So that's a 9 for Weitering, which is an elite score. We now move along to Brody Kemp.
Okay, so you'll see red in the left wing.
Uh-huh.
So very important. It's quite interesting that teams have found a way to attack Carlton. Carlton go predominantly down the left wing or the corridor at the moment. And the most logical way with a zonal system is the right side is open as you attack it. So you go down the opposite flank. Carlton have become very attuned at switching that moment and laying traps to create an early switch. And this is where Kemp comes in. Now, the funny thing with Kemp is in-game, I notice it in the comments a lot. Oh, what was he fucking doing there? Oh, he got beat there. You watch Kemp play, and I try and pick it out as much as I can. His ability he's been given a license to attack. This is Mitch McGovern last year. He has basically been told, we don't care if you lose out the back. You're going to lose 2 or 3 goals every week out the back. But what you gain by being aggressive there could potentially be the difference between us finishing first and finishing 10th. And you see what is really strong about him is it's these incidentals, these intercept marks, these ability to come off his man early and take a chance of being an outlet ball. Really incredible, hard-working player and probably the most undervalued player, I think, in that back line. Really undervalued because he is literally our most aggressive form of defense at the moment.
Yeah, interesting. Yeah, I always look at him and Boyd as 2 of the most, maybe not undervalued from a Carlton perspective, but externally, people don't realize. Actually, no, it might actually still be a Carlton perspective.
I think it's funny. Yeah, you hear Marchbank's name every week, don't you? Coming in,
Yeah,
and it's always for this guy. And Marchbank has never shown what this guy can do. And recently, Marchbank has been playing what McGovern is now doing, which was Kemp's job last year. I think that shows the internal trust, because this was a problem area for Carlton. This was the problem area where them red hot spots were. That was where Bolter kicked his goals, right? And that was where they tried to get McIntosh free to give them some room. So he was really deployed in their target zones. And Cowan have ironically fucked opposition plans, because it was always target Kemp. He was the weak link. And now it's becoming an issue for opposition.
We don't have one that you can target because they've shown their ability to defend when necessary.
They did target someone this week. We're going to come on to him, and you'll laugh at how much that backfired.
Okay. Well, looks like a 7 for Brody Kemp. Very strong. Very solid. Let's move along. Adam Saad. This is the kind of heat map that I like to see for Adam Saad. This is the kind of activity that I think is going to get the best out of him, and therefore the best out of us.
The man that answers the scripts, this does, Saad. So I did see a couple of days ago, and it was actually, I don't know if the guy has contacts at Richmond, but he did put a wonderful little preview in saying that you've got to target Saad aerially. He's not very good aerially, right? And I was like, it's probably a fair call. It's probably not something he's known for. And you haven't seen anyone when Calton play this really high defensive line, which you've seen it again. It's really high. We did this against Geelong. We did this last week against Essendon as well the other week. Saw it again this week. Calton really try and do that. And Calton had to do that because they took space away. So Calton were brave. They targeted this guy aerially with Cozzy for a quarter. And look at that, 4 intercept marks. And this is something that Kemp and Saad have. Their ability to be brave, read it very early and come off their man. And it can backfire. But Saad is phenomenal. 373 metres gain, constant threat on transition, 8 intercept possessions as well. So his ability to pick players' pockets, and when the ball's on the ground, probably no better defender in the league than Adam Saad, hence the one-handed pickup. So phenomenal player, and another player that probably would put his hand up to be one of the best halfbacks in the league.
Mm-hmm. Mate, the pickup in the third quarter, oh my God. I think Richmond had potentially just cut it to a goal. It was around about then. I believe it was in the third quarter. The pickup into the handball, it was all like in one motion. Wow. So clean in traffic. And there's a couple of them who have that same attribute now. We'll get to Elijah shortly, but you would not have known that it was wet had you seen the way they handled the ball. He had 7 score involvements. What did Kemp have in the end? I didn't say Kemp.
He had 2, so
Kemp had 2. All right. The trend continues. Saad with a 9.5. Really? That's
constant menace.
Yeah.
You would probably say in the first half, not many people talk about it, but Calton were 90% turnover. Big part of it was Saad. Yeah. Saad's ability to rebound very quickly. When you're playing 18 men behind the ball, which effectively they average 14 men with behind the ball carrier as well. They were trying to move it slow and methodical so they couldn't be caught. His ability to overlap their defence very quickly was really poignant for while Carlton went into that with a lead at half-time. So could argue Saad was probably one of the reasons that he did all the boundary work for us. Really impressive game from Saad.
I will say this as well. I think the Wolf is peaking at the moment. It had a lot of, what's the word? Just a lot of girth. There was a lot of people that were...
Shouldn't have mentioned the hot toe girl, hasn't it? It's completely ruined this. It's gone downhill rapidly this year.
No, but you know what I mean? Yeah, a lot of depth.
I do.
I also think we saw a bit more of him run and carry. And so it sort of winds up the Wolf because he's about to kick it.
Is there anything better as well, seeing him just do that little dinky kick to Kemp, and then he gets the handball and he's straight through? It's great to see.
Yeah.
But I like the Wolf. I
love the Wolf. Yeah. Saad's got that dog in him.
He's definitely got the dog in him.
McGovern. Are we watching him change roles now? Is this it? Is this something we've seen over the last month or so? Now that Kemp has really taken on the responsibility?
We're seeing this guy becoming far more a defensive threat than we've ever seen, I think, in our time. And we're starting to see now the next evolution of him. So, like his mate Kemp, just the 3 score involvements, as you can see. So quite low numbers. But why was that? This was his ability here. Look where he was. So when Carlton went real high up, tried to hemorrhage them in, and the quickest way to beat a shit side is forward pressure. Make them play quickly. It's how we've been killed for so many years. And look where he was, almost midfield. He was the first line of defence. He was asking for that corridor kick while the other boys tried to protect the wings, and then stay at home, deep down back, given that responsibility. And you can see here, this is what he does really well. He just moves the chain. So like him and like Kemp, they have a great understanding of the players around them and their ability. So he can cut you apart by foot, but he's also very good at finding that next kick that gets Carlton out. And Kemp and him were exceptional this week of being in defence, going, right, you're making that overlap run, bang, I'll hit you with the ball. And real strong performance. And the 400 metres gain just short gets you going quick.
Loved his game. He scored a 6.5. Stock standard game for Mitch McGovern. This is the guy. I want to talk about a guy that's needs an All-Australian campaign made for him. I think this is another guy. And this is the second week that red portion of the heat map is in that position. So what is happening here?
So we're going to see another player that's been, I mean, it's only a matter of time, but he's been panned. And Newman's gone from a person that was doing the role of Ollie Hollands a while back, being the defensive guy to allow people to be expressive and attacking, to now he's got people doing it for him. And that was a big role here. They knew Cam McIntosh is a big part of what they do, getting the ball from back to forward, and they had to do it. And you saw him in the first half, Cam McIntosh, have great success at getting that overlap run and getting them going and having an outlet. Carlton adjusted this. Newman and Hollands went to work. Kemp played in the hole, and they tried to take away that role. And this is a fantastic little moment now for Nick Newman because he's becoming a real aggressive, attacking threat. Yeah. 5 intercept possessions. His tackling is fine. 700 metres gained is ridiculous. And suddenly Carlton now, with the Saad injury, Newman spent 4 weeks playing as a pure attacking halfback. We've now got the luxury of Cowan slots in. He becomes the old-time Nick Newman. And we drop a winger back to help him get ahead of the ball. Very hard to tag that because you can't tag. It's hard to tag one forward, right? I mean, halfback. Impossible to tag 2 halfbacks.
I feel like we should. I mean, I want to put an All-Australian campaign together for Newman as well, but also comment
1,000%.
Yeah, but comment made here. I think it was Richard B. Flat. If teams are smart, they'll watch this show. He genuinely needs to be tagged by opposition, and it hasn't happened yet.
He's I think the best halfback flank year I've seen for a long time was a couple of years ago, Jake Lloyd, that made him move forward into the midfield. I think Jake Lloyd was just an uncanny ability of defence and attack. I agree with you, Terry. He should be All-Australian. Like, if you watch my All-Australian video, we try and pick it by roles as if they're actually going to play. If you are picking an All-Australian on roles, you need a player that can play attacking and defence. He can do both. Elite at both. Phenomenal guy. Like, honestly, this guy's it's Mickey Mouse. We paid what, a 4th rounder for him.
Yep, absolute peanuts. This will be a 10, surely. This is a 10. It's one of the easiest 10 games I've seen.
It's why we call him Nick Newton.
Hey! All right, Nick, new 10 gets a 10. As we move along to Ollie Hollands, less of the ball, which naturally attracts conversation around his position in the side. I didn't really have a chance to, in the immediate sort of aftermath of the game, talk about him. I got asked about him on the fan cams. What did you make of his game?
Again, another sacrificial game from him. And we've just talked about Nick Newman, of what he could do. Nick Newman couldn't have done this without Ollie. So there's a reason that the Carlton like the roles. And it's all well and good, like doing podcasts, going on Twitter, Facebook, spouting, get behind the players and any of that nonsense. We love role players. Yeah, do you understand roles? And this role here is hard to do. It's hard to do because he probably did this role going, we win this game, everyone's going to drop me. Everyone's going to drop me. And he did that role because it allowed Saad to overlap him. It allowed Nick Newman to overlap him. And he basically just tracked Camden McIntosh. And we're going to come on to Camden McIntosh later. But his ability to be that overlap for Richmond kept them in the game in the first half. So, again, and you can see here, trusted defensively. When it was under the cosh, they threw him back. So,
that's very deep. We haven't seen a lot of that, have we?
Mate, he's a workhorse, the workhorse of this side. So, sacrificial game, and we've seen it. Once Nick Newman gets this role, eventually Ollie will. This will pay Ollie back in 5 years' time when he's the best wingman in the league because he's done the groundwork. He has a great understanding of how an overlap works for when he becomes the overlap.
Mm-hmm. So he gets a 6 for his game. Mate, this guy here, seriously, he just leaves me speechless. I was speechless last week. I was speechless watching the replay today. We're watching greatness in his prime. I mean, look at the heat map. You know what? You could even remove the pomogram. You could remove the stats. We could look at the heat map and we would know exactly what his score is going to be.
Someone actually put a comment on my review today, and it was like the first time I've seen someone say it other than me. Is this the best we've ever seen Crips? And 100%. Yep. This Crips is on another plane of good at the moment. And I've highlighted some stats that we don't often see. Goal assist. We've been talking about this a lot with Crips. Now his offense is starting to show, really starting to show. His ability to set these boys up, get them on the way. He's a class above. And I feel like he's a smoky. I wouldn't be surprised. Not many people are giving him a chance for the Brownlow. You'll be surprised. Crips is one of them midfielders that has kind of like an uncanny fife ability that he always seems to pull well with the umpires because of the way he plays as well. He plays incredibly fairly. He doesn't chunter. He just accepts it. There was a great passage of play where Nick Newman got pissed off with the umpire and Crips is there straight away pulling him away, calming him down. So them kind of things play in to the umpire's logic as well. But you are looking at a guy who's at the best of his game, top of his tree. That there isn't anyone close. The comparisons between Bontempelli and this guy, tell you, if Crips rested half forward as much as Bontempelli did, you'd probably see him do what Bont did. This is a pure captain leader's role.
Yeah. I thought after 2022, he wins the Brownlow. I thought, you know what, we're going to move into the future. That might be the best version of Crips that we see. Sam Walsh and Chera and Charlie and, these types. I'll start taking over the spotlight. And I just didn't see a better version of Crips than what we saw in 2022. So it's a pleasant surprise, but it's not like he's doing anything we haven't seen. It's the ability to make others better around him, which has made him a better player. And he's just seemingly got this ability to now control it. It's amazing.
He's another level. he's another level. He really is. So, I mean, I don't think we've seen a midfielder with that kind of poise and pull in blue since probably Judd. He's got that Judd where he seems to draw people to him as well. And it doesn't matter how many people they put on him, he seems to be able to break the mold. So, incredibly good performance from Crips, and he just continues it. Continues the 3-vote Brownlow campaign.
Yeah, he's currently sitting on 11 goals for the year. We'll see if he can top his career high of 20 from the year before last. Gets a 10. It's pretty straightforward, isn't it? It's not hard to see that one.
Helen Keller texts me saying Crips 10 ?
Yeah, easy. All right, let's move along. Blake Acres. Fresh off a 2-year contract extension. I'll get your thoughts on that in a moment. How did we watch Blake's game?
Well, I mean, he got the tough job. He got the tough role. So Carlton, as we know, we attacked the left-hand side. Carlton made a plan. Saad and Newman were going to be the aggressors there. Hollands was going to slot back. The right side, or the opposition's left, that's where they started to attack. The thin side of the ground for the Blues defensively. And Acres was surprisingly deployed there. And he feast? So where the other guys had 3 guys protecting him, this guy was invariably on the far side of the protection. He was kind of on his own. And you saw here, look, 557, took the piss. Did what he wanted when he wanted. Score involvement's A, intercept possession strong. Not many people talk about this, but his ability is almost Saad-like when we put him defensively at halfback because he gets going very quickly. Very quickly, ball hits the deck. He's picked it up. He's like, how do we get forward? Get forward. So probably the most understated role. Yes, Goulden gets the plaudits on the wing. Yes. I mean, the other day I read an article, Messino D'Ambrosio is the most underrated. It was Daniel Hoyne, though. So, I mean, bearing in mind, I've forgotten more about football when I sneeze than Daniel Hoyne does. But he did mention Massimo D'Ambrosio ranks really high in wingman, and he's spot on. The guy who plays the same role as him is this guy. And for me, if you're picking a team properly, you have an aggressive winger, Errol Goulden, you have a defensive one. Carlton are luxury. We've got half-back flankers who overlap. But if you were playing a normal team, Blake Acres, for me, is easily the best well-rounded winger in the league.
Two-way runner as well. Yeah. I saw his ground ball gets at 7 this week. Very clean below his knees.
Terry, you're looking at data properly. Okay, now.
Look at this, mate. You've taught me.
Yes.
The Poms come to the country, and he's taught the people their own game.
He is, yeah. And I'm not dissing Massimo D'Ambrosio. He's a phenomenal player, but this is what I mean. Like, it was great that they pointed out how his defensive craft works, Massimo's. But the issue is Blake Acres' defensive craft is insane as well. Like, not just his defense, his offenses. So when you pick players, you need your Nick Newmans and your Acres because then you can have a sexy defensive version or an attacking one. Blake Acres really is, to have that role, lone on an attacking wing, insane. Insane. And I heard BT call him a stat padder. I'd like to see BT walk to the shops without fucking up.
Yeah, there's something coming for BT. I just haven't quite put it together yet, but I'm thinking about it. I did a video last. Well, let's talk about the extension. So, 2-year extension. He was out of contract at the end of next year, but we've extended him for a further 2, which will keep him at the club to 2027. Now, if we circle back to when he came to Carlton, I did some research around it. Initially, Freo had offered him a contract which was reportedly for $180,000 a year. We doubled that. I think it was $350 a year for 3 years, which in itself is still dirt cheap. What have you made of the extension?
It's no fucking brainer, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like, you know the things that piss me off, and it's a society thing. We live in a generation now where we can't let ourselves just be better. We don't have any accountability that maybe we're just not good enough. And years gone by, you'd look yourself in the mirror and you'd be like, okay, cool, I didn't quite stack up there. So you know what I'm going to do? Next week will be better. Tomorrow will be better. And BT and the media like that, they like to not give the credit. Could it be that fucking this guy's good? Could it be this guy's working overtime? Why is no one watching my shitty little BT walking around the dressing room getting players' names wrong? Because it's shit. Maybe I could get better. But the way I can say relevant is not give the credit and then take away the credit because I don't get the credit that I deserve. And that is society, isn't it? Podcasting. Do you know what I mean? I could maybe spend a bit of time and come up with an algorithm like Pom has done. Now I'll just fucking copy it and repost it on my own name. How society works. So it's really important that we give Blake Acres the credit because people need to remember, St Kilda, you're not good enough as a wing. Yeah. You're not good enough as a winger. So you're not good enough as a halfback flanker. We're playing you here. Then he went to Fremantle as steak knives. Then he didn't get the love. Then he didn't get the love he deserved. And then they offered him 180. He came here. We gave him the credit and look at how he pays it back. That's faith. Doubling your salary and that's faith. Impressive performance. Great work to see for him.
Very happy for him and happy for his extension as well. Very much deserved. So a 9.5 for Blake. As we move on to Lockie Fogarty. Hey? Hitting the scoreboard on the left, on the right. How do you want it, Pommy? That's the only question.
We talk about it a lot that Fogarty's probably one of the small forwards that has nailed his role down, been defensive. And we've been talking about it a couple of weeks, haven't we, on this show, that hard work invariably opens doors. If you're young watching at home or you're old, that's a lesson there. Keep doing the right things and eventually we'll get rewarded. The reward doesn't come when you want it. The reward comes when you deserve it. Yeah. And seeing 3 goals, seeing goals last week, there's no one who works harder from it. And you know what? I want to give him the biggest praise. Is last week Fogarty targeted Fantasia twice and Fantasia dished it off for goal assist. That forward line is starting to build that synergy of I'm going to help you out. And I love Fogarty's first touch inside 50. He looked up and he tried to feed Fantasia. It was almost like the forwards knew you need feeding. And for a man that probably doesn't get the praise unless it's on this show for his role, because people are like, where's the goals? It was great to see his mindset was bring my boys in, bring my boys with him. And when he kicked that goal, man, he's looking fearsome now. And I think people forget he's still got that little nous in him, hasn't he? And pure forwards role this week, right back to what he's good at. Tackle pressure was sublime. I love the chase and the never give up attitude. And I love this little hands in close. Saad's incredibly good under pressure at close. This guy's his equal in the forward line. You watch him, 8 people around him, and he manages to get his hands free and always get that handball out. Underrated player, and it's great to see him kick goals because obviously goals are everything.
It was the third one I think he kicked. The one he kicked on his left. I mean, he looked for a pass and then you saw the mindset shift of, no, this is mine. And if he starts adding that to his game consistently, he becomes a much more well-rounded weapon. What he's doing defensively is at a really high level, but if he's hitting the scoreboard, once or twice a game, kicking 2 goals a game. I mean, 2 goals a game is very hard to average. But if he's kicking, a goal or 2 every couple of weeks, combined with his pressure, he just keeps adding that defensive layer to this team. He's got a really good story as well.
You know what? He's giving me a bit of Paul Popolo vibes this year.
Paul Popolo?
Yeah, do you know what I mean? I remember watching a podcast with him and him saying that how Clarko put so much emphasis on the defensive pressure and said that it's not your fucking day to kick goals. You're judged in my house on tackles and pressure, and goals are just the icing on the cake. I look at him and he really feeds on that. He really feeds on that. And you know what? It's good to see, isn't it? It's great to see the chemistry building with Fogg. There's something about him, isn't there? Like, he's hard not to love. He's just going in there and working, grinding.
Yeah. Well, when did I meet? I met his parents. I sat next to his parents at the Best and Fairest. I'm going to say it was 2021. It must have been 2021 or 2, whatever. And I remember we were on like the furthest table at the back, me and the Fogartys just on the scrap heap. This was when he was injured. He wasn't playing. And now he's just found himself as a really vital part of this team. And
Do you know what I mean? No, spawn. And do you know what I mean? Like, Digsby's in chat. I mean, he spent all the time having the audacity to have a few little pot shots.
Digsby? Is this a Collingwood supporter?
No, but listen, but not putting his face or name, like a real adult to it. But he makes a good point there. We talk about all Australians, and last year Bo McCreary was heavily tipped because he played the selfless role. And I think I picked on McCreary quite a bit last year, saying it's a real selfless role he plays for the team. And most Collingwood fans would probably give Bobby Hill the kudos, but McCreary's hard work wins them games. Fogarty is probably in that mode, and it's weird the media hasn't jumped on that because I don't think at the moment there's anyone who is so selfless in the forward line. So I really like Fog. I do like him. We've got a good chant for him as well. It's been like fucking 12 weeks in the working because the guy doesn't kick goals.
Stoked for him.
Can't give you a chant for a rundown tackle, unfortunately.
Foggy.
A
9.5. Then we're going to move on to Harry Mackay. Interested to get into this with Harry and with Charlie because obviously they're not dominating on the scoreboard as what we all love to see them do, but they are doing a lot more than just kicking goals these days.
Yeah. So do you remember? Do you remember the Pies used to say, we can't retain the title. We've lost McStay, right?
Uh-huh.
And people used to laugh at them. Now, I used to laugh at them for a different reason because the wonderful thing McStay does is he creates space in behind, right? So I don't think McStay is a goal kicker. Harry's got this ability to kick goals, but what he does incredibly well is his leading, creating space in behind, which allows Fogarty, Fantasia, Owies to have this luxury of suddenly being on a big, giant fucking oath and you're quick. And it creates problems. And his ability to make them lead sometimes selflessly is incredible because he has to have an ego. He's a Coleman medalist. But you can see his mindset is, I don't care about kicking goals. I care about doing the right thing for my team. And this week, where he wasn't deployed on the wing because it was a bit of a different exit strategy for them, he stayed centrally, which created the space, ironically, in the half-forward line for Elijah to do a lot of his work this week. And then, as we know, we love to see it, I hate it, Harry Mackay became the exit ball when we're in trouble. But this selfless running from him shouldn't be understated because although it might not kick him 70, 80 goals a year, it creates 150 goals a year.
Would love to know the conversation. I mean, we probably never will, but I would love to know the conversations that go on in the preseason with, Vossi and Harry and getting him to buy into it. We see here 10 score involvements. I think because we haven't seen, touch wood, an issue between he and Charlie, it probably hasn't been spoken about, but there's got to be some sort of credit given to Harry, Charlie, coaches, everyone involved in putting together the strategy for the forward group, that they haven't clashed and they really do care for one another. And that, I mean, there's always a healthy competition that, when you're around greatness, it motivates you to be better. So in that sense, there is a bit of competition, but it's never really spilled out for this club. It's not been toxic, or at least it seems from the outside. And so to get Harry to buy into it and Charlie to buy into it, I think is something that hasn't been spoken about as much.
Incredible, really. But I mean, it's the ethos. And I did like when he missed, the first person to go over to him and ruffle his head was Kernahan.
Yeah.
And that says a lot. The small forwards seem to have a little synergy, and so do the bigs. The bigs are like, it's all right, mate. You'll get the next one. And It's good to see. But honestly, I'm telling you, his selfless running, incredible. Incredible. Because it literally, he could probably go tomorrow to Fantasia and Owies and co and say, I gave you 60% of them because if you watch the footage, two players follow him. The big oaf is left with small guys, and the small guy always wins on the floor.
Yeah.
Great leading.
It's an 8.5 for Harry.
Very high as well for a key forward to kick less than 3 and get over 8.
Indeed. Let's go to Zach Williams, who played his 150th game. Could have had 2 if one didn't just graze the post. It's a good little snap as well. How are we looking at Zach's game?
This was a real traditional forwards role, and boy, oh boy, he's starting to work his way into it, isn't he now? The forward craft is there, but, the more nuanced role of forward craft was on display this week, and the defence is really strong. For a guy that was criticised heavily defensively at the back, the forward defence looks pretty good. Took his goal well, dished it out as well, dished it out on a dime, and just under 200 metres gained, which is quite high for a small. Really a danger, a menace around forward stoppage, and we're really seeing one of the big strengths to Carlton that we don't hear about is their stoppage work down the back. We play Nick Newman and Saad on the ball as on-ballers in the stoppage defence. In the forward line, we're playing Fogarty and Williams. So it frees Crips and Walsh to be a little bit loose and be out of trouble so they can receive the ball and be better users and distribute. Not many people are talking about it, but we're one of the few teams that has the luxury that we can sneak that in. Williams has been a nice little conduit for them players. So you can see there, fairly solid from him. More traditional forward role this week.
That is something I noticed about Zach's game this week. So when we had forward 50 stoppages, and I think it'll get better as we venture further and further into the future, he would start, behind the stoppage and run forward through the stoppage. When he starts getting that synergy over a couple of months with whoever's taking, the right contests, I can just see a goal where he sort of weaves through traffic off the hit out and kicks a goal. I don't know when it's coming, but I've seen the light, I've seen the vision, because there were a few that he got his hands on directly from the tap, got tackled straight away. But when that timing comes and when that synergy comes with the tap and his positioning, he's going to kick some nice goals for us out of stoppage. So I did notice that. My other question is this Jack Martin? Is this Jack Martin's position in the team? Or is there a reality where Jack Martin still fits into this team with Zach in the forward line as well as, Fogarty and the rest?
Everyone says that the hard one to fit in is Pitternet, right? And I would say the easiest for structure is Pitternet. The hard one is Jack Martin.
Yeah.
Because Carlton aren't playing that third tall anymore.
Yeah.
They're not. They're using slighter players to be a lot quicker in there and a little bit more refined. It's smartening up our deep entries as well, because when you play an extra third, you play shallow. It's natural. You see Collingwood do it when they play Ash Johnson. It naturally becomes shallow and it looks less defensively strong from turnover. It's natural that it'll happen. So for me, Jack Martin has nowhere the level on the deck as this guy. So that's a real tough one, Terry. So I think you'd have to really change it. Like, it would have to be a big change. It's probably Lidge going full-time on the ball, but I think Zach Williams is that big change. So, Digsby, that's my point. Ash Johnson, terrible pies. Jack Martin, I think if you played this way with Jack Martin, you'd be at risk at turnover.
It's a watch this space. So we're only a couple of weeks away from Jack Martin being available, so we'll find out.
It's a good problem to have, though. Zach Williams, Jack Martin.
Yeah. It's a 7 for Zach, and stoked for him to get through his 150th and just be back in the team, settled, playing consistent footy, touch wood, healthy, backing it up game after game. and now he's an important piece for this group in the back end of the year. Let's talk about Lidge, baby. Let's talk about you and me. Let's talk about
probably. I mean, we've talked about a few: Nick Newman, Akers signings, best signings.
Yeah.
This kid's special, though. I mean, look at this here. Starting to get some mid-time, playing half forward. So you talked about Jack Martin and Zach Williams. Big plus of Zach Williams. Probably not as strong aerially. On the deck, though, 10 times as good.
Yep.
Then the other side, Jack Martin can't do what he does on the ball. Jack Martin doesn't have the distribution that this guy does. The vision this guy has left and right foot is a piss take at times. And watch this there. Look, this is something that why I think Jack Martin is probably this guy in a normal system when he goes forward. 5 marks inside 50. His ability to play loose from the pocket is insane as well. And he works, look at that, 15.4 kilometres. Jack Martin doesn't run that in a season.
Yeah.
And I love Jack Martin. I mean, this guy is a two-way, forward, mid, just about anything he can do. And the 9 score involvements, he was involved in just about everything in the second half. Takes his goals well. I was watching him and I feel like there's like a game here where this guy could do 6 goals because he's so selfless as well. He looks like he's winding up to kick inside 50 and he's got it in him. That was the big thing you used to see in juniors. His ability to break from a stoppage and instead of delivering it, he'd shimmy and then bomb one from 55. You saw him have the set shot from there and he got the distance. He just pulled it left. I feel like you are a couple of weeks away from seeing this guy unleash a 60-metre bomb on the run and then suddenly Carlton are complete.
It's finals footy. Well, I mean, look, it's this year, but it's also, hopefully he stays healthy and stays focused and stays locked in. And if he does, it's a really strong decade that's coming up. I was mindful that with Chera back in the side, it might impact Elijah's output. Didn't feel a difference at all. He's damaging when he gets the ball, 20-ish times a game. He's so clean.
Erin makes a beautiful point. Fantastic point as well. It feels like he's fucking been here forever as well. Like the synergy he has already got. The amount of times Cripper blind handballs to him. It's insane to think he wasn't here 12 months ago. How does Cripper know where he's going to be already? And that says one thing, communication. Yes. You watch him. I always watch kids when they play football, when they first come into the seniors. She's always the exception to the rule, who demands the ball, who are like, I don't give a shit, I'm the new kid. I'm fucking kicking ass here. Nick Dacos does it a lot. He bursts through and he's screaming for the ball back. You watch Lidge. He is always speaking. He's always like, I'm here, over your head, here. You can see he's got confidence already where he probably shouldn't have it at 22 and playing less than 20 games. I said to my mate the other day, he's a big Richmond fan, and he was like, calm down, Pom. I know you love him, but fuck me. I was like, I reckon he's got a dusty 2017 final series in him. He just looks like, because you see him, he's not scared to stand up to these guys. These are the type of guys who I think can break games open when you are in the shit. And I felt when we were struggling with no space, he looked better than anyone else on the park. I'm a big fan. Love Lidge. Love my boy.
So he gets his 2-year contract offer. So he was out of contract at the end of this year. And look, it's a great story. It's a great story of fucking up, getting back to work, getting back on the horse, putting your head down, working hard, earning respect, earning trust. And it's a credit to him. And you said something last week, which I think was really prominent. And you said, if you, it actually doesn't really matter what age you are. If this guy's not one of your favorite players, then you're doing it wrong. Because he really does embody what is real when it comes to overcoming challenges.
You know the one that pisses me off? People call it a misdemeanor.
Mm.
Kid did drugs in a nightclub.
Yeah.
Fucking hell.
Oh, surprise,
What are you going to tell me next? What are you going to tell me next? Drew some money out of an ATM and pissed against the wall while doing it. If that's a misdemeanor, lock me away. You know, it's not a misdemeanor. So young kids at home, it's no such thing as a mistake, right? A mistake is what idiots say when they don't learn. It's a big life lesson for him.
Yep.
Big life lesson for him. And you know what he did? He learned his lesson and he's reminded what he's good at. God put him on this planet to play football. And he's playing football incredibly well.
And play football for the Carlton Football Club. So
not bad misdemeanor. Fucking hell, I wish I could have them misdemeanors.
I know, right? Let's talk about Charlie. Let's do Charlie. How did you look at his game?
Pom just said, "Don't do drugs, kids." And Terry's like, "Let's do Charlie." Don't. Let's not. Bad news. Bad news. Stay away from the stuff. Do sherbet instead. It's better for you. Charlie Kernahan. So Charlie, a little bit of a different game for him. Didn't quite get going. And we've got to give a shout out to Ben Miller here. So Ben Miller was named in the team of the week. And it's not often I look at an AFL journalist and go, fucking hell, you've made a good decision. I was like, wow. Because Ben Miller on paper versus Charlie Kernahan, I was like, could be a disaster. But you know what he did is he had to make Charlie Kernahan go to his auxiliary skill set, and that's bringing players in. It's going to be a big thing here. He couldn't get the goals. Ben Miller was monotonous and never moved out of that goal square, which took Charlie's space away. So Charlie was like, okay, cool, you're not going to let me kick the goals? I'll bring it in. So phenomenal performance, 6 score involvements from, I think it was 7 touches in the end, 10 pressure acts as well. So really was a part. Everyone bags his defensive play. He was quick to get on his bike and chase. And then 3 inside 50 is a big rise from where we'd see Charlie usually. And he took his 2 goals, which is above where he should be. Real strong game. And this week, he worked that right, left-hand side. So he was making them dummy leads for them small forwards in behind. So showing something else about Charlie this week, that he also is a giver. He's a provider.
Yep. 4, 5, 6. So I want to we've been talking about him kicking 2 or more, multiple goals in every game this season. And that's what he's done in 2024. Just for reference, he kicked 1 goal 7 times last year or less, 7 times last year. And the year before, so that's a Coleman year. And the year before that, which was 2022, he kicked 1 or less goals. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times. Okay. So that's from 22 matches. Last year was from 26 matches. In 15 games this year, he's kicked 2 or more goals. The consistency is there. The ability to not be out of the game when you're not dominating on the scoreboard is starting to really shine through. And it's only a matter of time before the 4s and 5s consistently come back. I feel like he's going through a learning process of his game. And once he masters it, he's got another breakthrough to come.
How many goals would you say is par for the course for a key forward who's good? Like, let's have that conversation.
You mean like on average, or you mean total for
the
season?
I mean like end of the year, for you to be classed as one of the best key forwards in the league, what's the minimum? What's the par score? Is it 60 goals, 55 goals?
I think 60 gets you in the upper echelon.
So shall we'll agree on 60 then. So there's what? How many regular games is there in the season? 20. There's 23 now, isn't there, each?
Yeah.
So that's what, roughly 2.5 goals a game?
Mm-hmm.
So why the fuck he has to kick 9, 8, 7 is my point. Like to me, if he does 2 and a bit goals a game, let's all start stroking it now. Because this type of game here, see what we're talking about here. Harry and Charlie work the channels, work smart running lanes. It creates options for smalls. What have we been saying for 4 years? Small forwards aren't shit. The delivery's shit. And what did I say last year? If you were Charlie Cameron offered a contract to Carlton, you'd tell him to fuck off because you're just going to basically be doing hit training in the forward line for Bants. This, if you're Charlie Cameron, you're like, give me it. Give me the contract. I want to come and play. These key forwards, what you're telling me, they're not taking all the grabs? They're going to make space for me? And it's Charlie and Harry? Fuck yeah. So, don't want Charlie to kick 9 goals. I want Charlie to kick 3 goals every game and do this because that means Owies has 3 goals or Fantasia has 3 goals or, Jesus, when it gets really good, the midfielders are going to start running in and kicking goals, which we saw this week with Walsh. They come in from the... So, yeah. Keep doing 3, Charlie.
Harry and Charlie aside, I mean, Charlie's kicked 45 for the year, Harry's kicked 34. There are 5 players who have kicked 10 or more. One of those has kicked 21. That's Owies. We've got DeConing, who's kicked 9, so close to 10. They're even spread. And maybe this is a better conversation where we are looking at the entirety of the team. But I'd much rather have the situation that we're in right now where we're seeing, 9 goal kickers, 12 goal kickers, 11 goal kickers over the last 3 weeks than having such a heavy reliance on individuals. Because again, let's talk about finals football. Even spread finals football. You need as many threats as possible.
Yeah. No. It's 2024. 100 goal kickers. When was the last one? 2024, where are we now? It's 2008, wasn't it?
208, yeah, buddy. Or 9, yeah.
Okay, so 16 years ago. So, I mean, fucking hell, 16 years ago, it was considered a little bit risque. You know, when them girls 16 years ago, when they used to tie their shirts up like that, that was considered risque now. Like, now that's called vanilla if you show a little bit of navel on a night out. Times changed. Like, I tell you what, if you said to me, Pom, start of the year, Charlie has 100 goals, or Charlie has 55, Mackay has 50, then the small forwards have 40 and 35, and then the best midfielder is 25. I'd say that all the time because that's hard to defend. Any idiot, if Charlie does what he does last year, you saw it in finals. Okay, Carlton over Charlie kick inside. Let's stick everyone on him. When there's 5, 6 goal kickers, good luck stopping that, boys. Thanks for coming. What's wrong, Essie?
Well, a 7 for Charlie. Let's take a very quick 30-second break. We'll hear from Nick from Horizon Finance Group and then continue on.
I'm Nick Horsburgh. I'm the director of Horizon Finance Group. I've been in the automotive industry about 20 years now and brokering for the last 7 years. I started Horizon Finance Group about 3 years ago. I've got a passion for really helping people. So if they've got a bad credit rating and have been previously knocked back, what I really enjoy about the role is being able to give them guidance, put them in a position where they've got better financial practices and get them their target of getting a loan for them. That's really rewarding for me.
The hard dog.
I sat next to him. He was with me at the President's Club function on the table. Matt, he was up and about.
We love a little bit of the whole dog.
We do. So for those of you at home, if you're looking to get finance of any variety and you're looking for someone to do the work for you and find the best rate, Nick from Horizon Finance Group, who's jumped on board as a sponsor of the rating show, he's your man. He's a mad Carlton man. And he's giving free consultations for any of these things on his website. The link is in the description. So that's that. Let's move along, Pommy. Let's talk about Chincotta, Pomcotta. I think we have to ban the word tagger. I had to ban myself from using it. I was thinking about it as I was getting ready for the show. They're going to have to start tagging him, mate.
Yeah, and I think the big thing about Pomcotta as well is that when you talk about the tag and stuff, it's about what we were talking about the other week, that eventually he's going to work out how to do it. I'm sorry, my cat just decided to jump on everything. He's going to work out a way as well how he can be a threat while he's doing it. And all the great players that negate, I like the negate role. I think that's nice. Find a way. And this is a guy that started to play as just a pure forward as well, mid-forward. And we complimented Williams' ability to get the ball moving in the clutch areas He did that. 7 score involvements is elite. 2 goals. This is a real, like, defensive forward type performance.
Real bad man. Sorry.
He is a real bad man. And you know what? As the game stretches, you saw he did a bit of a... He had the halfback at first, which I thought was a bizarre move by Vossi. I'm not a big halfback tagger unless it's someone like a Tom Stewart. I don't think Vlosting can hurt you. But then that move to Taranto, which, again, I was quite surprised. I thought the most logical move for him was Baker. And I don't know if Voss... I'd love to ask Voss that. Why did that not go there? I thought Baker was the biggest threat for them. Because Taranto, honestly, he's got the shooting of a stormtrooper. You know what I mean? Like, it's fucking just going everywhere, isn't it? So, I mean, who cares? But he found his way. And then the best thing about him is around them stoppages. He talked about in that interview, good players lose you in stoppage. If anyone's noticed, his goals now, he's starting to lose people in them stoppages. He's starting to lose the more expert players. So, incredible work from him. And we love the Pom Cotter.
I like this. It's the ability to remain focused for the entire game. That's why he kicks last quarter goals. I love it. When fatigue kicks in, when you've played 3 quarters, you've had a halftime break, you're either feeling good about your game or you're feeling down about your game, whatever the case may be, his ability to stay engaged and stay locked in for longer is what is separating him right now. It's, I think he just understands his position in the side. Just side note, he's kicked 2 goals in the last 3 games in a row. So this is a very nice subplot that is emerging over the last month for the team. And it probably raises the question again. I know we spoke about Jack Martin earlier. Like, you're not dropping this guy to get him in.
You're not. I mean, it's weird. Like, maybe I'm different, but I couldn't give a fuck.
No, I know.
Who comes in? I'm at that stage now. I trust the list. And that means we're good. When Pom says I trust the list, there's a reason. Because lists win your flags. It's not players, it's the list. Yeah. 7.5 from Pom Cotter. Keep up the good work here. Hey, you know what as well? Shout out to Pom Cotter, because this week he actually cracked a fucking smile.
I did see that. Yeah.
Jesus. Hey, the second goal, though, he was back to business, but he enjoyed the first one. I thought the second one was better. To be honest, I thought the first one was routine. Anyone could kick it. But the second one, that was worth celebrating. He gave donuts. Bit of weakness from him, showing a smile.
Showing that it means something. No, I love it. Hey, we need a photo of him without the hair.
Contact Champions Data. You know what I mean?
True. I'm going to find one.
I like him with the hair, though. Look, great minds.
Nah, but like, as in when he's got the shaved head, it's just like he's like Voldemort. Like, he's coming for your soul.
Jesus Christ, Terry.
He's like the Grim Reaper.
Terry becoming like everyone else, just wanting the world. Do you know what I mean? Wanting the world, but giving nothing.
Giving nothing in return. Speaking of a guy that doesn't get enough love, Mark Pitternet came in late. It was a late in for Tom de Koning. I thought he did pretty well, personally.
It was a dark place, chat, at halftime. Some people were telling me that it's Pitternet's fault. Carlton just incidentally recorded 40 points from turnover in the first half. Ended up with 90, which is their most since West Coast, which incidentally, Pitternet was the solo ruck for that game.
Amazing.
Maybe we should start having a conversation. Is TDK bad for our turnover game? Yeah. But, I mean, the big thing with Pitternet is, and I want to be specific here, because it's not about being who's right, who's wrong, because like I couldn't give less of a fuck, to be honest. But I want you to really notice just think of the heat map from TDK. TDK was more down back. We saw him rotating in that role that we talked about Mackay, him being that conduit. This guy floated more forward. Now, if you go back to my VFL wraps, it was really good to see him play forward, play forward, play forward. I am telling you now, if you hate the 2-ruck system, boy, wait till you get a load of next week when you see TDK and Pitner. Might as well prepare yourself now. I'm going to prepare you for you. Now, what did we do in his ruck game? His ruck game, he was against Nankervis, a wily old customer who did pretty well himself. But it was a great game, a good idea to drop TDK for this game. Give him the extra week. The more rest we can give to specific role players, vis-a-vis Crips, key forwards, key defenders, ruckman, the better, because it's a long season for them. But he did well. Look, he showed some new things, and he tired. He looked knackered. He looked like he was out of practice. He looked a little bit like we saw in the VFL. There was moments where he faded in. But you know what? If this is the next best player on your list to play ruck, fucking hell, this is exciting, man.
Yes.
This is exciting because it could be fucking Alex Murkoff. Then we're really in shit creek without a paddle.
Yeah. That's the thing. When you think about the list and when you open up the mind to, rather than thinking of who's in the first choice team as opposed to who's on the list, the squad, we'd be right up there with who's available for us with our ruck stocks. It's a leverage point now that it's round 16 and we get to rest Tom de Koning to make sure that he is playing at, as close to 100% all the time.
And also, TDK is like one of 5 ruckmen. Like, not many ruckmen are TDK. Not many ruckmen we're going to analyse. And you know what? I'm going to play a game. I'm going to pick on every ruckman. My promise on ratings, every week we're going to have the opposition ruckman stats on so we can look at it. And we're going to see a pattern emerge. Not many of them are athletic ruckmen. Most of them, 400 years ago, they just used to help put the doors on castles because they were big and strong. These guys aren't creative and classy people. There's a few exceptions to the rule, Grundy and things like that. Pitner is a proper ruckman. Big guy who looks a little bit cumbersome, looks like he could be the butler in the Addams family, but that's okay. We love that. Because that's what you're meant to look like when you're big and 9'8".
What a ruckman's meant to look like.
Do you know what I mean? If anything, TDK's the weird one for being so flexible and versatile. I'm telling you, you are going to see a 2-ruck system at Carlton. Whether you like it or you hate it, I don't care. It's happening. It's happening. Enjoy it. I'm happy. You're happy. We're all happy.
Mm-hmm. Look, it's a 6.5 for Pitto.
And look at that. AFL average rugman game. Fuck you, Pitner. Can't believe you have averaged 92.2 scores from turnover when you solo ruck. You're a disgrace. Should be 100.
Yeah.
Delist yourself.
Hey, Sam Walsh, have yourself a game, young man. Hit the scoreboard as well. It's great to see.
You know what? I said that it was the AFL version of Cirrus, the chance of having Crips, Walsh, and Chera in a midfield. Mm-hmm. And boy, oh boy, Jesus, it was like a weekend Viagra, wasn't it? I mean, I'm still hard thinking about it. It was absolutely insane. And seeing Walsh and seeing Chera, the way they worked was insane. Mm-hmm. Was insane, their ability just to create separation from each other. We're starting to see a bit of Kernahan and a bit of Harry about them, that they're starting to understand each other's leading patterns. They don't get in each other's way. They're happy to slot in. And you can see there, look, Walsh, very early Chera this.
Yep.
Each side of the wing just hiding out. And Chera, as we know, he does that. But this guy here, his conduit play, his link-up play, the big thing that I've noticed with Crips, Walsh and Chera recently is the faith they have as well, where they didn't last year. They give the handball away. And I was watching the Brisbane game that we lost. It's amazing how many of our midfielders gave the handball to a halfback or someone else, and then they kind of just stayed because they were like, oh, they're going to fuck it up. Now you're seeing them just assume they're going to win that contest. Yes. And Walsh is the master this week of doing this. Ball's there. I watched the round round 0 game this year, round 1. And Crips did it a few times. He had to go and help. Where this week, it was great to see. Ball gets there, Taranto's there, Crips is running off. He's like, it's all right. He's going to win that contest. I'm going to win. I'm going to make myself available. For a guy that was in a wheelchair, evidently, 8 weeks, fuck me, he's doing all right.
Hey, question. I thought he had 10 tackles this week. Is this tackles in defensive 50 or forward 50?
Question. Tell me what you think about me. What is that?
I could have sworn we read out his stats and he had laid double-digit tackles.
I will tell you. Give me a second. Walsh. Walsh, what's... Oh, that hasn't updated from last week. That should be 10.
See, we're on it.
Terry.
No worries. I'm Chera, you're Walsh. We just like got each other, you know, when one's like, you know, just pick up for the other.
Hey, there we are, mate. Hey, look, you ran ahead.
Yeah, I knew you'd win the contest, but I was there just in case. Nonetheless, it is a 10 for Walsh. Hey, Ed Bleeds Blue, welcome to Blue Abroad membership. Good to have you here, mate. So we laid 10 tackles, 11 score involvements, 25 pressure acts. Just elite. That's what he was.
Well-rounded. Mm-hmm.
Pretty good to be talking about Adam Chera again. And back in the side and looking, gotta say, pretty sharp, pretty clean, considering it's his first game in a while.
And if we look, you can really specify Walsh on the ball now. Chera just playing a little bit loose, a little bit loosey-goosey. So you can see that Carlton really, one of the big criticisms of Walsh, and I think this is an unfair criticism of Walsh, is people talk about his kicking, right? And so it's one of the things that just always amazes me because it's very hard to kick when you're receiving the ball in traffic and hit targets all the time. Not many players, if any players, have ever done it in the history of the game.
Yeah.
Chera's strength is probably this playing almost like a quarterback. I hate using NFL terms because you know me, I can't stand American culture. So, but he's like an NFL player. He's hanging back there. He's waiting for it to come out of the pocket and just go bang, bang, bang. And he sets the metronome up. Real good that he can play forward, behind the ball. This is a real well-rounded game. And it's crazy because he's probably the 3rd, 4th best midfielder in the team, right? Like statistically output-wise, but he'd probably be 2nd everywhere else. Real strong performance. You know who he reminds me of? And Digsby's in chat, so I don't mean to offend you because he's a Collingwood player, but he gives me real Pendlebury vibes in the midfield. Just that guy that holds everything together.
Mm-hmm. Bit of a glue guy, you mean?
Yeah, do you know what I mean? Like you've got like Crips is the packaging. He's like a present you buy your partner for Valentine's Day, right? Crips is the packaging. That's going to survive everything. Walsh is like, you know, the little sexy, like hearts, sprinkled hearts, and you've sprayed some of your cologne on to get them in the mood. And he is the packaging, isn't he? He's the ribbon. And the ribbon. Nice little love note.
He's the Chera on top.
Hey! I tell you, we're giving you some great dad banter tonight, and it's absolutely fucking underappreciated. Yeah. Like we are giving you banter like Fogarty in the forward line, and no one's giving a shit.
No one is biting. We're just out here laughing at ourselves all night. So look, it's an 8 for Chera. Just want to remind ourselves on another luxury that we have found ourselves in. The first one was the TDK late omission to bring Pito in and not really feel the effect of that in a negative way at all for the team. The second one is that we're winning so comfortably that we can afford to take off Chera, knowing that Hewitt's on the bench as the sub, just to make sure that we're not overdoing it with Chera. You know, his first game back in a while. You can really tell that we've dialed in on the timing aspect of making sure the health of the list is right.
Yeah, and you know, like the Kennedy injury, I hope it's not bad, right?
Yeah.
I hope it's not bad. But there is a part of me that just thinks, looking at Chera's numbers, He's kind of like a really ostentatious version of Hewitt.
Mm.
And I was thinking about it when I was doing my review today, that maybe because we predicted in the teams when me and Terry did the impromptu thing, we said it was Hewitt was sub, right? Because he wanted to get a look at how this midfield would work, right? I've got a feeling that you could maybe bring TDK in. He's got them extra midfield numbers. Play Chera as the defensive part with better ball use and still have Hewitt as sub. Because I don't mind the Hewitt as sub idea. But then when you bring TDK in, suddenly you've got what you lose by losing Hewitt. You're gaining Pitternet at stoppage. But then you don't lose anything with TDK because he's that extra midfielder. And I feel like suddenly then you've got that real tasty little midfield. I want to see that. Before this season's done, I want to see TDK, Chera, with no Hewitt or Kennedy. I want to see that with Pitternet. And I reckon it'll be fucking tasty, I'm telling you. Absolutely. It'd be gravy, mate, honestly. Gravy on a nice steak and kidney pie. Just
do like
put my face in it.
All right. So it's an 8 for Chera. Let's move along to Matty Owies. What do we think?
You know what, right? At the start of the year, I said, if you're Durden and Motlop, you look at this guy, and this guy's AFL average, right? I think I might have underplayed the poor fucker because I don't think I accounted that this guy would get better.
Yeah.
And you know what? I'm a man of integrity. When I get it wrong, I'll hold my hands up, and I think I've got it wrong. Like I think I did him an injustice. I think he is above average. I think he's that level below elite, but not average. Whatever that is.
This is Paul Puopolo.
Yeah, I think that's probably fair. Like, honestly, I'm saying it. And again, look, what turns me on about him is a bit like Nick Newman. What I see is what I get. And maybe I've underappreciated Matty Owies. So, Matt Owies, if you watch this show, I know you do, I'd like to sincerely apologise because you are better than average, mate. And average is a compliment, but I think you're that grade above. So I think, Motlop and Durden have got a fucking problem here because all three of them at the moment are building synergy and they're looking better. And this was a mature performance. We're going to compliment Kernahan for his selflessness and Harry, right? Owies, selfless. Diming an easy goal to Fantasia, realising Fantasia probably needed that boost.
That's a point guard.
Matty Owies, the team man.
That is a point guard there. Look, the one thing that often gets lost in the story of Matt Owies is, yes, he didn't, play footy his entire life. He was a basketballer. But what he experienced is something that none of his teammates experienced, and that is going through the collegiate system in the US. And really, the system there to prepare you to become a professional is so different to what we have here in Australia. And I think also just expanding your mind and getting yourself out of Australia is actually a benefit when you come back and you're around people that have never left. And I just think he's such a good pro. Such a good professional. I think every year he's been at the club, similar to Cottrell, he has improved 3 to 5%. But over 5 years, that compounds. And we're now looking at that compound effect taking place. I think he can eclipse the 30-goal mark this season if he stays in the side and, stays healthy. And I really believe that if he just continues to play in 3 to 4 more seasons, I don't see why he can't continue to improve and kick 40, 45 plus goals in a season. I think he's just it's the baseline.
Mate, I'm with you. I think baseline, I think, yeah. But I think the big thing for him is he's improving every week. Like, what is really impressive, and I didn't expect him to do it, and that's why I've had to apologise to him. I always thought he was going to be the baseline, but I think he's improved as well. Like, he's got better. And I didn't see... I didn't think he could do it. This game is probably my favourite game he's played. I really do think that because I thought this is reminding me of like Eddie Betts when he came back. that he had the expertise. He knew when to give it off. And you started to see that with Owies. He understood the task. And he could have been selfish and he dimed two off. He could have kicked them, but he also could have skied them on the run and fucked it up. And we'd be having a different conversation. So that showed a level of maturity. So not only has he learnt the game from scratch, he's mastered the game.
Yeah.
And that's really good to see. And you know what? Orazio, great leadership by Owies, because he could have kicked that. He would have kicked that, Owies.
For sure. Rhonda, it's a good question. I reckon this contract discussion, this contract negotiation with Owies is going to be a little bit longer than what we all thought it would have been.
Come on, chat. How long have we been watching this show? The most rigged thing is contracts. Hayward was never fucking leaving.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? This will be one of them contracts that is that awkward figure that tips you over the salary cap. So the Blues will be waiting for more contingency on who leaves and who doesn't.
Yeah.
More contingency on what's available. Owies is locked into the Blues. Like, honestly, do you know what I mean?
He's one of our own.
He is one of our own. That's his chant as well. Biggest honour I can give you.
He's one of our own. That is a big honour.
He's us out there.
Yep. He gets a 7.
He might want to slow down kicking goals, though, because he might fucking go into the realms of $1 million player if he keeps doing it.
Mate, he's kicked 21 for the year. He's kicked 3 goals on 4 occasions this season. So he's in good company. Let's move along. Orazio Fantasia. It happened. It happened for him. Finally. To be fair, it was bubbling the last few weeks, but we got to see him get some reward on the scoreboard, play with some confidence, celebrate. It was good. I'm happy for him.
Yeah. Might be... We've been the same view for a lot. Ratings, chat and us, we've been the same view. We've talked about his role. We said it's defined. We've agreed Motlop can't do it. We've agreed no one else can do it. Right? This is his role. And last couple of weeks, they've been pretty positive when we reviewed him. They're starting to build. It's again, hard work seeks rewards. And he got the reward. Always dished him the first, and suddenly it was like something clicked in his brain, and he was like, I am Orazio fucking Fantasia.
Yeah.
And suddenly we saw it, didn't we? It looked like he was, dare I say it, that 4th goal went in, it looked like he was having a bit of fucking fun.
Yes.
And that's what we want to see. Great tackle pressure from him again. Forward 50 ground ball gets again. 4 goals elite, and still this ability. Remember that left wing, that problem, his ability to slot in there and get back up the ground. So we used to talk about Durden. Durden would get lost here. That's why Voss likes Fantasia, because he gets back. He gets back. He gets there, helps, uses his elite running capacity to get back ahead of the ball. Really strong game from him. And welcome to the football club, Orazio. I hope now your stay is happy.
I'm so disappointed. The bloke behind me started the game off. He screamed out. He's like, so I think Raz he ran past the ball in the first quarter to block for Walsh. And there was a bit of a fumble and a miscommunication, and ended up being a Richmond goal. And the guy yells out like, oh, that's your goal, Fantasia. Like, this was like 2 minutes into the game. I'm like, oh, okay, that's interesting. Then he started screaming out, you'd be lucky to get a game at the thirds at whatever. And I was like, wow. Like, bro, you heckling him? Like, it was relentless. And I'm shattered because he left. I think he left at halftime. I didn't see him in the second half. And I wanted to just sort of see what he would have said when he saw Orazio kick his 3rd or 4th. I just don't get it. Heckle the opposition. Is it unreasonable? Am I being unreasonable to suggest that we should be heckling the opposition, not our own players? Am I being a little bit sensitive?
Terry, I stopped trying to understand Australian sporting culture. I came over here, 2011?
Yeah.
So probably January 2012. I stopped questioning it and just accepted it. No, I mean, you make a good point. I mean, it's a weird thing. Like, like Michael here, like I agree, yeah, it was against the bottom two side, right? But like Faz made the greatest point in the world, and Faz is like one of the few people that I listen to and go, right, okay, I might be able to take something out of this because he actually gives a shit about other people other than himself. Like, why can't we be happy for him? Like we've spoke at this show on length. There's a reason he's in there. Do you know what I mean? How hard he works in the back line. How so much running. Durden can't do that. I'm Motlop's super fan. Motlop can't do that. He's shown it in the VFL for 2 weeks that it kills him in the fourth quarter. He dies. So I'm with you. Like in game, I don't mind criticism after the game. Criticism after the game is healthy. In game, when you're doing something, and when you're in the middle of something, it should only be positive reinforcement. Like I always wonder sometimes, and I remember getting a fine in a golf tournament. Some old guy fucking muttered behind me, I would have done this. And like the guy was like 20 stone overweight and had a walking stick. And I turned around to him and said, here you are, mate. Here's my golf club. You fucking play if you can walk around the course. And I got fined for it. I don't know how these players don't do it. I don't know. Like in game, you're well aware when you fuck up. Amazing. It's an amazing concept. Amazing concept. Like he knows when he turns the ball over. Like he's not shocked. Like end of the game, he didn't go home and go, "Oh my god, I turned it over. I thought that went through." Like just give him a bit of love, man. TLC.
To be fair, where I usually sit, I don't really experience that in the crowd where I usually sit. Of all places to be sitting, I sat in, where the President's Club function area was. And it was just because it was just behind me. I'm like, oh, wow. Like, and I'm all for like people supporting how they like, but I just think a little tinkering, just slightly, like rather than saying Orazio and screaming out like you wouldn't get a game in the threes at whatever, why not do that to one of the Richmond players? Like, isn't that what we're supposed to be doing? Isn't that our role in the crowd to get under the skin of the opposition?
Look, I'm in the minority here, Terry, but when you're playing, when the game's on, there's nothing but positive vibes from me. There's nothing but, like, I'm more than happy to go through where a player goes well and where a player goes wrong in game, after the game, but in game, like even Darwin Plowman, who I was heavily critical on, like as Bugs Bell says, go back and watch my watch-alongs, 100% behind them from start to finish. 100% behind them. But again, it's back to what I said to you about Blake Acres, why he doesn't get the respect he deserves. Because society now has taught everyone, when I don't get my way, it's everyone else's fault. Bring everyone else down. That is society. That's teaching 101. That's the education system of we've got to change the whole classroom because you didn't get it. It's no longer the onus on maybe that kid just is not good enough. And maybe he needs to put the big boy pants on or the big girl pants on and just get fucking better, But in game, you need that positive reassurance. I'm 38. I love it when I'm doing Mrs. Pom's IKEA furniture and she comes out and goes, "Oh, that's looking really good, that, babe." I'm like, "Oh, thanks, babe. Cheers, bub." It makes me work faster. She came out and honestly, this is the only time me and Mrs. Pom argument, when she's like, "Oh, I can only see 2 holes and there's 8 screws." And I'm like, "I'm still doing it. Let me do it, babe." Like, it's the most annoying thing in the world. All I want in my life is everyone to shut up and just say I'm doing a good job or tell me where I can improve. That's all I ever want. I don't need all that shit.
Yeah.
Ian nails it. Do you know what I mean? Like, I remember someone wording it to me about Matt Pitternet the other day in my DMs, and they're going to stay private, but they said if you order a steak and it's shit, you'll tell the chef. I'm like, yeah, but you won't call him a fucking fatherless prick, will you, when you do it?
Mm.
Do you know what I mean? Like, when people say, "Oh, I paid for it, now do it." Ian's spot on. Like, if you're in a restaurant, you order a medium well, and you get it rare, you don't go up to the chef and say, "You're fucking useless, quit your job, hope your wife leaves you." You go, "Oh, excuse me, I ordered the medium well and I got it rare. Is it any chance you could..." And the chef's like, "Oh, I'm awfully sorry, mate. Here, pass me here and I'll get you another one." And tell your wife to pick a dessert and the dessert's on me. You don't go in there and go, fuck you. So why do we do it to the players?
I'm all for understanding. You go to the footy, you release your tension and the stresses of life, and it's your release. I get it. But do it to the opposition.
Terry, if you're not angry, masturbate.
Well, yeah, I know. I mean, I don't really get it, but I'm just, I'm trying to get it. But I think it's Sean came on the show last week and mentioned, the phrase scar tissue and the trauma, we call it, or the PTSD. I get it. We've been let down for so many years, but like, at what point?
Nah, honestly, that is the most unhealthiest fucking mindset ever. If you are validating internally, I am like this because
I know
you are a bad person.
My question
that leads to all negativity. Because something has happened doesn't mean you can validate how you could be. You need to start flipping that mindset. So I see it in the watch-alongs. Oh, shit, they've kicked 2 goals, we're going to lose. No. Right? Logic is, if something goes wrong, we will fix it, but let's prepare to be happy. Let's put all that energy into the process is going to work. No one ever does. Like, it's so offensive when people say PTSD or farmer trauma. You are talking about losing a game of football, right?
Yeah.
There is people out there, right, in my family and in my life who have suffered from drug abuse, sexual abuse. That's fucking trauma. That's real. Losing a game to Richmond in 2017 isn't on the list of a million traumas, right? No. So let's get out of that mindset of, oh, I'm a bit of a dickhead because, Carlton lost 2 years ago.
You've let me down so many times.
Do you know what I mean? How about this is meant to be fun and we approach everything with fun, right? So, and this is practice for real life. I'm telling you now, ladies and gentlemen of the esteemed jury in the audience, if you start approaching everything in your life, best case scenario, and you put time into the plan, I'm telling you, the negativity is always going to be there. Bad things happen, they feel bad, right? This will be over before you know it. In 10 years' time, we'll be doing this rating system, and each of these dickheads will have retired, and there'll be new dickheads having 3.5s, right? We'll be depressed. We'll be crying. Oh, shit, here's another 100-point win. When are we going to kick over 100? And we will forget about these times. So enjoy every fucking moment. Enjoy every moment. Every moment, because tell you what, people always focus on the negative in life. Oh, this happened to me and it's happened again. Oh, this girl left me and that happened again and I fell in love. Start fucking focusing on the positives, because the negatives are always bad. Always. It's unhealthy, chat. It's unhealthy. It's okay. Yeah. We all cry.
As I was saying, let me finish.
Sorry.
Fuck. As I was saying, at some point in time, we have to move on. At some point in time. So why not now? Bugs Bell, I understand. We carry duds. I would actually counter your point by saying our club was the reason for those dark days as a whole, not the individual players that played. The players that are playing are only a byproduct of the environment in which they are allowed to operate in. And the environment in which they are allowed to operate in comes from the culture of the club, led from the very top, the synergy of the club, led from the top, and it filters through to the playing group. So I think it's a bit harsh to blame the former players without blaming the entire club. But I take your point. Let's move along. Matt Kennedy. Shattered for him, to be honest with you. Thought he started really getting it down pat, and then he got injured.
He's played on the ball.
Yeah.
And he's found his happiness. He's found his happiness. It's a shame. I mean, but the boys they'll win it for him, but that's all right. But again, this is becoming a complete performance, and you can see why Hewitt was the unfortunate one, because of his versatility. Again, look, that half-back role, the plug needed to be filled, and he was deployed there. But then also Carlton struggled on that right-hand side offensively, and he was moved there when the ball hit the deck and had great success. Big loss for the Blues, for how long it is. Hopefully it's short term. But a man, again, faith. Faith, had a bit of faith, starting to take the piss.
Mm-hmm. It's an MCL injury confirmed. So a couple of weeks, you would think. Let's just see. Hopefully it's not too serious. Gets an 8.5 nonetheless. He's had a really good couple of weeks too.
Great opportunity for someone to come in there.
Yes, indeed. Let's move along. We've got to wrap this up. We've got about 20 minutes to go. Jordan Boyd. I didn't realize he got a week. We'll touch on it shortly. How'd you watch his game?
Becoming a battler, isn't he, as well? Like, I feel like he's one of them players that is typecast, good kick, but he works so hard. Look, defensive half, working really hard, 281 metres gained. That's not ground balls. It should be metres gained. 5 score involvements, and again, real strong efficiency in that right-hand side. So we've talked about 2 players, Akers and Boyd. They were put in that shitstorm where they were quite often outnumbered 5-2. And they won. They won the battle. Michael Caine-esque, that was.
Well, just reading out here. Carlton defender Jordan Boyd has been charged with forceful front-on contact by the match review officer. The incident occurred in Carlton's round 16 win against Richmond and was graded as careless conduct, medium impact, and high contact with the 1-week suspension offered. The club has until 11 a.m. tomorrow to respond to the charge. How is it medium impact? Who did he hit again? Was it Baker?
Yeah, it was Baker, wasn't it?
What,
or was it Mans? No, it was Baker. Was it Baker?
I think it was. How is medium? I mean, I'll touch on it maybe on the show. How is medium impact being?
Oh, it was. It was Mansell.
Mansell. Sorry, it was Mansell. My bad. So we might be cancelling footy abroad tomorrow to do a live tribunal stream because we've done it before. We've done it before.
But yeah, I mean, it's a shame Billy Wilson's out injured, isn't it? Because it would be probably a nice time just to cop the fine, the punishment, and just slide him in and give him a week. But Bevton nails it. Honestly, underrated. Kicking is one thing. His improvement defensively has been supreme. And Akers and Boyd on their own at times on that right-hand side. And they won the battle against bigger bodies. Great work.
So 7.5. And then finally, George Hewitt. Obviously, it's a very tough one to grade given he was the sub. Came on a little late for Chera. Still looked to have some impact. And he gets a scaled score of 5.5. You mentioned earlier, Pom, you don't mind seeing Hewitt as the sub. Is this also potentially with the idea of managing him through a season and managing his load?
Well, I think that's a part of it. I mean, I just think you can't have to, like, everyone always wants mids and mids and mids and mids and mids. And in reality, you've got to have team balance. So you can't physically do that. You can't physically have that many players. So I don't mind Hewitt. I mean, I think over the next 2 weeks, Carlton have got to find a way. There's definitely got to be an answer there. How do you play Pitternet and TDK? Because it's obviously your Carlton plan. So having Hewitt there as a sub or having that option helps you. If you want to do my plan, Chera and the smaller guys, so Elijah still gets the minutes, having Hewitt on the bench makes sense if it goes tits up. Do you know what I mean? If you can fix it in game. Oh, shit, this is not working. Right, let's bring Hewitt back and we'll come up with a plan B. But I really like it. And good teams rotate. So we're in that luxurious position where we can rotate now.
Indeed we are. All right, let's take a look at the team. There it is.
So as you'd expect, more bright blues playing second bottom. Players should step out, but real positive here. This is better than last week.
There's more blues this week than last week. Is that right?
Yeah, there is. But there's also like a nice, well-rounded amount of blues. Look, This is really exciting. Half forward, you've got them. All the midfielders, pretty much the primary ball users. Half back, brilliant. And your key positions just taking the piss, aren't they, really?
They really were. In the wet as well. That's no red. I think Durden was the red last week, but that's because he was the sub. Played 10 minutes, 15 minutes. Yeah, wow. It's very impressive, I must say. And Fantasia getting a 9.5 is it's his biggest score. It might be his biggest score since 2021, where he kicked 4 against Geelong in a final for Port Adelaide.
He hasn't. It feels like a lifetime, but it's good. It's good to see. And like now, It's like what we said about Zach Williams. Zach Williams is not going to kick 2-3 goals every week. He's going to start adding the layers. But I think the big difference between Williams and Fantasia is Williams seems to get the love where Fantasia doesn't, but very similar game outputs when they're not kicking goals.
Yeah.
So hopefully now Fantasia's got the fans behind him, and hopefully there's a big fucking roar when he goes near the ball next week.
Yep. All right. This is the team outlook. Remember, we're kicking to the right of screen. Wow. Plus 60 turnover scores. Minus 0 stoppage scores. That means we broke even?
Yeah, it just means, dead even.
Yep.
So what I always say, clearance and stoppage, warp stats, because Carlton's makeup, they're never going to lose this. And against a side that had a game plan for Carlton to lose it, who cares? But plus 60 on turnover and a big one, shit sides, always got to get that forward half. Show that you're willing to speed them up. And that's the difference between Carlton and Carlton 2022. How much time they have in the back line. So, because they can negate them defensive half pressure. So, real good, strong performance by the Blues. And look, a 10 grade there, that pomegranate, 10 grade.
Right. Let's move on to the player of the game. Sam Walsh was the player of the game. Interesting. So even though he and Crips got a 10, there wasn't like a tie?
No, so slightly ahead, playing an easier role was Walsh, but Walsh took this out by 2 decimal places.
Wow. Oh. All right, now we're going to do the riser. So this was the player who scored the most points above what they were expected to. So chat, before I reveal it, have a guess. Who is the Horizon Finance Group riser of the week? Have a guess.
You can't possibly get this wrong, chat.
Well, you never know. You never know. A bit of Raz here, a bit of Raz there, a bit of razzle dazzle, a bit of Pitanet, Walshy. Okay. The ratio. True.
So a man that has averaged, 5.8? So AFL average for his role. That's huge. So last time we had this, it was Mr. Chincotta, and we know what happened to him 3 weeks later. So maybe Alazio is due.
He's found it. All right. And now we're going to look at the leader of the medal. Is it still Crips? It's still Crips. So he's the highest averaging player for the year, 8.66 rating points per game.
Pretty impressive.
Who's the next best?
Walsh.
Yeah. All right. Now, we've added a few different things here. We're going to look at some opposition players that were of note against us and try and remember last week, and then we'll eventually build a bit of a memory bank of these players. So what do we want to know about Nank in this game?
Yeah, so I mean, this here, you see the big thing here is their midfield versus ours. We've got a lot of clearance players. And you can see here, though, the work rate around the ground's not quite there. Do you know what I mean? The 2 marks, this is where you see a lot from, we've seen 8, 6 from TDK. General bog standard ruckman just winning his hit outs. You can see the score involvements just not quite as strong as what we'd expect from seeing a TDK. Because Nankervis is a normal ruckman. But it was a strong performance from Nankervis, as you'd expect. But very interesting. I just thought that aside from the hit out win percentage, not a huge amount of difference from our Mr. Mark Paytonat, because these didn't really heavily influence the game.
Right. I mean,
these are just pure ruck stats where Mr. Paytonat had over double his score involvements, but a very strong game from Nankervis as a pure ruckman, as you can see.
Okay. So an 8.5 for him.
And you can see the rating there. Paytonat was a 7 from memory? I can't remember.
Yeah.
Something like 6.57. You can see there dominating his hit out stats, give him that boost. You can see how the algorithm works there.
Mm-hmm. All right. No, it's Jacob. It's Jacob Koshitsky. Why do we want to highlight him?
So playing against one of the hardest backlines to break at the moment, I thought this guy did very well. So you can see there, look, like we talked about, if you'd flip this was where Kemp, Weitering were. So if you flip this, that would be their work. So that would be they're attacking to the right. That would be our left-hand side, right? So you can see here, look, Kaziski, he worked them areas. And I thought he did pretty well against two of the best interceptors. I thought his conduit play, he was probably let down by a pure forward here. And I think that's exposed Richmond's issues. Richmond's like squad issues. They really need that Tom Lynch. They need this next kick. But I thought he did really well here. And Max inside 52 of them, it just shows how strong our defence is that wins. That wins you the best on ground for your team.
Mm-hmm. Okay. 8.5 as well for him. He was definitely a feature. And then Camden McIntosh. So this was the wing Ollie played on?
Yeah, so this was Ollie's work, right? So this guy's numbers, when they switched them round, so he was playing wing and then he played that more defensive role. Look at the drop-off here, like 53% kicking efficiency, almost no inside 50s, only one after half-time, no score involvements, and the 356 metres gained, which a large portion of them were the first half. Showing you how hard they had to work, because this was a real clear outlet to them in the first half, and Carlton shut that off. Great work from Nick Newman to play more advanced, to make this guy defend. But whenever they got the ball, this guy was being tracked by Oliver, and Oliver kicking ass.
Yeah, right.
Hard to believe that guy is not 58, though, isn't it?
I know. So he gets a 6. Okay, these are new slides. This is the algorithms rankings of the players compared to the coaches' votes.
Yep, spot on. So, as you can see, we pretty much agreed all the way. Our big difference is we had Orazio 6th best. They had Elijah. You'll see difference of how the algorithm judges. The algorithm that TPI does at the end of the game rates them on levels of difficulty versus their players for our version of coaches' votes. Hence why Crips is higher up than Walsh in this, even though the data he had a better score. It judges them and weights the data a little bit differently depending on matchup, and playing purely on the ball is considered harder than playing loose. But you can see for another week in a row, and we've done this before the coaches' votes as well, so you can check we're not cheating. Pretty similar to how the coaches viewed the game, not far off.
Mm-hmm. The final slide here. Oh, so you've had a crack at guessing the Brownlow votes for this game.
Yeah, so TPA is pretty good. Mrs. Pom likes Brownlow time because we make some good money because they make some absolute balls-ups. But the algorithm works as well on hotspots of touches. It looks at the heat maps and looks at where statistically they do. And Crips had 20 of his touches in hot zones for 3 votes, where Walsh had quite a large percentile away. So I wouldn't be surprised to see Crips get the 3 votes here, Walsh 2. And genuinely, when a small kicks 4 goals in a game where you can't split any midfielders, genuinely it goes to Fantasia.
Fair.
Like, halfbacks get no love in... Like, people say forwards don't, halfbacks get no love.
Yeah. Surely the umpires would be aware how much a 4-goal game would mean to Fantasia.
Well, you look where he got it as well. He gets quite a lot of ball in the stoppage as well. So they would have remembered him and then be like, oh, that was that Italian bloke, wasn't it, who kicked the goal in the second.
Yep.
You got to remember, they do it straight off the ground.
Correct. They go straight into a room. I did see that recently. All right. Hey, Pommy, that's the ratings, mate. Another one down. Thank you very much for putting it together so quickly.
Hey, do you know what I mean? Try my best for you. That's all you can do at the end of the day. Your best.
That is all you can do. Your best. That's very true. Ladies and gents, if you enjoy the ratings and you get entertained from it, or you get informed from it, and you think it's valuable enough to get to hit the like button. Hit the like button. Subscribe to Pommy and Oz. Subscribe to the Blue Broad YouTube channel. This content is free for you. It's not behind a paywall. We love doing it. We appreciate your support. So thanks for being here. It really gives us all another angle, a really deeper angle to analyze games. And I think the more that we can get this show out there, the better it is for everyone. So, yeah, Pommy, thanks again, mate.
My pleasure, mate. Enjoy what is the rest of the week.
The rest of the week, well, in 5 minutes, the BA show will be live. I'm going to go live with Ian from the Navy Blue Corner. And I'll speak to you guys then. Pommy, we'll see you probably tomorrow at some point.
If your eyes are open.
Yeah. All right, guys. See ya.